El Niño is a natural climate phenomenon marked by warmer than average sea surface temperatures in parts of the Pacific Ocean. And while the Pacific Ocean is hundreds of miles away from us here in Kentucky, we might notice seasonal effects right here in the Commonwealth.
Right, the oceans are really big, and so they can regulate the climate of the earth in a lot of really cool ways. And one of the things they do is where the heat is distributed in the ocean, and that's what the El Nino is.
In order to best understand El Nino, we need to look at a global scale. Normally, winds called trade winds pushed warm surface waters towards parts of the western Pacific, centralizing near Asia and Australia. However, in El Nino years, those winds called the trade winds weaken, allowing for all of that warm surface water to really centralize around parts of South America. This can warp our weather pattern and give us different conditions in different seasons. We really notice El Nino during the wintertime months, where we might see drier conditions specifically in Kentucky, while our friends just south of us might see wetter conditions.
Everything's connected, right? You could take a ship and go through all the oceans together. All the weather patterns are all interconnected, but the Pacific Ocean is so incredibly big that when it does its natural sort of shifts back and forth in where the different warm water masses are going to be, what the circulation looks like, it affects the climate across the globe.
So as we look forward in our weather predictions for the bluegrass, we'll remind ourselves that the activity far away in the Pacific Ocean can even affect us right here at home. In Lexington, Alexa Minton, WKYT.